When I was just a young buck of 19 years old, I understood freedom as choice. True freedom, I believed at least, meant having unlimited doors open to me without anyone overseeing my decisions. It meant having the space to do whatever the fuck I wanted, whenever the fuck I wanted, while also somehow being immune to any and all consequences that came from those decisions. And then I got into a committed relationship. Within a few months of that, I learned more about my own freedom and autonomy than I had in an entire lifetime. I was taught compromise, and patience, and fidelity. I discovered that freedom was still possible even in the chains of monogamy and time management. Okay, so if freedom isn't contingent on the choices available, then what is it contingent on? Eventually, after beginning my corporate job, I began to think of freedom as safety instead. That is, I used to believe all of my anxieties would somehow be remedied the moment I had the right amount of financial security, insurance, or good health. The problem with that framing, of course, is that ultimately nothing will protect me from the inevitability of death. I can have trillions of dollars in the bank, access to the best doctors and medicine on the planet, the strongest and healthiest heart ever seen by a human, unlimited organic foods, but still not be safe from the sands of time. All right, so if the foundation of freedom isn't safety or choice, what is its foundation? And that's when I started diving into yoga and meditation. Freedom, I now wagered, wasn't tangible or predicated on anything at all. It was a mindset. And it was a mindset that could be cultivated and eventually grown so strong as for me to be permanently freed or liberated from all desires and fears. Said differently, I was under the impression that freedom was a finish line that could only be crossed with enough meditation or yoga practice. The problem with that is the word enough. Enough meditation or yoga practice. The implicit assumption there is that a specific number of hours needed to be spent in silence in order to attain this mystical state of liberation. But how many was it? 100 hours? 100,000? A trillion? No, that didn't make any sense either. How can freedom only be accessible to those who dedicate their lives to the spiritual path? Over the last month or two, I feel like I've settled on an important truth about the nature of freedom. And when I say it out loud, it will sound so blithely simple that it'll probably gloss right over you. Freedom is your very essence. Let me say it differently. Freedom is not predicated on a thing, or a person, or a mindset, or even a spiritual pursuit, because that would imply conditions. And freedom doesn't have conditions. It doesn't lie on a continuum from 0 to 10. You can't get more or less free because you are already impossibly, unthinkably, radically free. You can't lose it or gain it because it is your very essence. If freedom were somehow conditional only on certain possessions, or a specific amount of wealth, or a behavior pattern, or a spiritual practice, it would mean there was only one path forward. If ultimate freedom could only be acquired by becoming a monk, or an elite surfer, or a world traveler, or a gazillionaire, it would mean that doing anything else would be an absolute fucking waste of time. And you know in your heart that that can't be true. Freedom is unconditional, which is to say that you don't need to do anything, have anything, or be anyone to attain it. You already have it. You are it. Okay, so why doesn't it feel like you're free then? I imagine it's a bit like the bird who lives its life in a cage with the door wide open. The world out there is expansive and unknown. These metal bars give me a sense of protection. I should just stick to what's familiar. Our mind has created its own tiny prison for itself. But why? It's the simple fact that there is no experience in the entire universe more incredible than realizing that the prison you thought you were in is an illusion. That the tiny self, the who that you thought you were, is entirely a figment of your imagination. That you are, in fact, powerful beyond all measure, and that nothing about you can be held or subdued. So what are you waiting for? Fly free, my friend. Hey, if you enjoyed that, consider sharing my work with your friends. This helps deliver these messages out to those who need it the most. Sending so much love and appreciation from here to there. Thank you for your existence. Thank you for putting in your inner work. And I'll see you next week. Peace.